would you say if a cop walked up to your window tonight and started fishing for a reason to search your car? If you say the wrong thing in the first 30 seconds, you can hand away rights you can never get back. And the scary part is, you might do it while trying to be polite. Before I reveal the exact words, hit subscribe right now so you can find this video again when you actually need it during a real stop. And tap like, because one calm sentence can save you from a nightmare. Here's what you're about to learn. The 6 rights you should use the second you're stopped. The exact lines that shut down phishing questions. The sentence that blocks a consent search before it starts. The words that force the stop back to the ticket instead of a criminal case. And the line you use if the whole thing starts going sideways. I've analyzed over 200 body cam videos, and the same pattern shows up again and again. Drivers talk too much, agree too fast, and try to charm their way out. That usually makes things worse, not better. Let me show you exactly how smart drivers keep the stop small, clean, and legal. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings, real cases, and the same rules defense attorneys build on later. If you learn these now, you won't have to invent them under stress with lights flashing in your mirror. Now let's talk about why this matters so much. A traffic stop feels casual, but it is not casual. It is one of the fastest ways a simple warning turns into handcuffs. Most people have no idea how fast a normal stop can become a search, a dog sniff, or a full criminal case. You think the danger starts when an officer finds something. No, the danger starts when you start filling the silence with extra words. You tell them where you came from, you explain why you're nervous, you joke about what's in the trunk, you say yes to a search because you think saying no looks guilty. Here's the reality. Your mouth opens the door long before your car does. Here's the reality. You do not win traffic stops by talking more. You win by staying calm, giving what the law requires, and protecting every inch of ground after that. Listen closely, because this is critical. These rights only help you if you use them early, clearly, and without attitude. The first right is your right to keep the stop about the stop. That means you answer the basic legal stuff, then you stop feeding the conversation. In some states, you may have to identify yourself. You definitely have to hand over your license, registration, and proof of insurance if you were driving, but that does not mean you have to explain your whole life story through the window. Here's exactly what you say. Officer, here are my documents. I'm choosing to remain silent and I do not want to answer questions. Word for word. Memorize that line. That sounds simple, but it does something huge. It separates required information from optional information. Your name and documents may be required. Your travel plans are not. Your job is not. Where you were an hour ago is not. Why you look nervous is not. The Fifth Amendment protects you from helping build a case against yourself. And Hebel made one thing clear in plain English. In some states, police can require your name during a lawful stop. That does not mean they get a free interview about everything else. Bad way. Most drivers say, I'm just coming from my friend's place. I had one drink and I'm running late. Then those little details become the reason for more questions. Good way. Smart drivers say, Officer, here are my documents. I'm choosing to remain silent. Then the stop stays tighter and cleaner. Defense attorneys use this exact line in court because it gives the officer less to twist later. Watch what happens when drivers use it. The officer loses the easy path into follow-up questions. No timeline to compare, no nervous chatter to quote, no half-confession hiding inside small talk. And if you're thinking, won't silence make me look guilty? No. Talking too much is what hurts people every day. Calm silence is not rude. Calm silence is controlled. Calm silence is smart. Have you ever been asked where you were coming from during a stop? Drop a comment below, because that question catches people every single day. The second right is your right to refuse consent to a search. This one is massive because cops ask in a casual voice that makes it sound tiny. You don't mind if I take a quick look, right? That word quick is bait. The word mind is bait. The friendly tone is bait. Because once you say yes, you just opened your car for free. You look at the officer and say this, Officer, I do not consent to any searches. Those exact 8 words. Say them calmly. Say them once. If they ask again, repeat them. Here's the trick they don't want you knowing. They do not have to tell you that you can say no. That came straight out of Schneckloth versus Bustamante. In plain English, the court said police can use your consent if it was voluntary, even if you did not know you had the right to refuse. Read that again in your head. They do not have to teach you your rights before asking for your permission. That is why this line matters so much. Bad way. Most drivers say, sure, I've got nothing to hide. Then the search starts. Everything gets touched and every item gets looked at in the worst possible light. Good way. Smart drivers say, Officer, I do not consent to any searches. Then the officer has to rely on some other legal reason instead of your own permission. This is 100% legal. Refusing consent is not a crime. It is not disrespect. It is not resisting. It is you keeping your Fourth Amendment rights alive. Former police officers have confirmed this works because consent is the easiest path to a search. When that easy path closes, the whole stop changes. Let me show you exactly why. If they had real probable cause already, your yes was never needed. But if they are asking, that usually means they want you to make their job easier. Do not do that for them. The third right is your right to ask the one question that checks whether this stop is still legal. You do not ask it in the first 2 seconds while they are still getting your papers. You ask it when the traffic mission should be ending. Maybe they already ran your license. Maybe they already wrote the warning. Maybe now they are just stalling and chatting. That is when you use it. Here's exactly what you say. Officer, am I being detained or am I free to leave? Word for word. Burn that into your memory. That line matters because of Rodriguez versus United States. In plain English, the Supreme Court said police cannot drag out a traffic stop longer than needed for the traffic reason, unless they have separate legal grounds. No bonus time, no endless fishing trip, no extra minutes just to wait for a dog because they have a hunch and hope you'll sit there quietly. Bad way. Most drivers say, I guess I'll wait, while the officer keeps poking around with more questions. Then the stop stretches and stretches. Good way. Smart drivers say, am I being detained or am I free to leave? Then the officer has to make a choice and justify the delay. Watch what happens when you use that sentence calmly. If the officer says you're free to go, leave. Do not linger. Do not ask if they're sure. Just go. If they say you're being detained, now they have said the quiet part out loud. Now the stop is on a legal track that can be challenged later. Legal experts agree this is your strongest protection against the endless, maybe we'll just keep talking stop. It forces clarity, and clarity protects you. 90% of drivers do not know that last line. If you're still here, you're already ahead of almost everybody on the road. Drop a comment saying I'm still here, because the next 3 rights are where people really start saving themselves. The 4th right is your right to record the stop as long as you do not interfere. A lot of drivers think they need permission to document what is happening to them. In public, that is usually not true. Your phone can be your best witness, not because it makes you tough, because it keeps the facts from changing later. You say this in a calm voice. Officer, I'm recording for my safety and yours. I will not interfere. That is the line. Now be smart about it. Keep your hands visible. Tell them what you're doing before reaching. If your phone is mounted, even better. If it is in your hand, move slowly. Do not wave it around. Do not try to become a street reporter. Your goal is evidence, not drama. The case a lot of people point to is Glick versus Cunnife. It is not a Supreme Court case, but it clearly backed the right to record police in public. In plain English, courts have recognized that you can document public officials doing public work, as long as you do not interfere. This is 100% legal when done the right way. Bad way. Most drivers say, I'm going to blast you online and shove a phone in the officer's face. Then the whole stop gets hotter and riskier. Good way. Smart drivers say, I'm recording for my safety and yours. I will not interfere. Then the record starts and the temperature usually drops. I've analyzed over 200 body cam videos and I can tell you this. People behave differently when they know there is a clean record. You do too, so use it. The 5th right is the right nobody talks about enough. If the officer tells you to step out, you can comply without giving up anything else. This is so important because many drivers think saying no here is some magic move. It is not. Pennsylvania versus Mims made this very clear. In plain English, if you were lawfully stopped, the officer can order the driver out of the car. So do not fight the wrong battle. Use the right words instead. Here's exactly what you say. I will comply. I do not consent to any searches, and I'm choosing to remain silent. Say that as you step out if you have to. That line protects you because compliance and consent are not the same thing. Obeying an order to exit is one thing. Agreeing to a search is a different thing. Talking your way into trouble is another thing. Keep those separate in your mind. Bad way. Most drivers say, why, what did I do? No, I'm not getting out. Then the stop escalates fast and you lose control. Good way. Smart drivers say, I will comply. I do not consent to any searches. Then you stay safe while keeping your rights alive. Former police officers have confirmed this works because it tells the officer 2 things at once. First, you're not resisting. Second, you're not volunteering anything extra. That is exactly where you want to be. Safe, calm, and on record. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings, not internet myths. Now, the 6th right is the one you use when the stop stops feeling like a ticket and starts feeling like a case. Maybe they keep pressing. Maybe they separate you from passengers. Maybe they start asking criminal questions. Maybe cuffs come out. That is when you stop trying to manage it alone. Here's exactly what you say. I want a lawyer, and I am remaining silent. Those exact words. Short, clear. No extra speech after that. Miranda v. Arizona said that once you are in custody and being questioned, invoking silence shuts the interrogation down. Berkmer later explained that a normal roadside stop usually does not count as custody yet. That means you should not sit around waiting for a magic Miranda warning to save you. You protect yourself first. You choose silence first. And if the stop turns into custody, you ask for counsel clearly. Bad way. Most drivers say, maybe I should talk to a lawyer, and then keep explaining. Then the talking continues, and the damage keeps growing. Good way. Smart drivers say, I want a lawyer, and I'm remaining silent. Then the legal line gets bright and clean. Defense attorneys use this exact line in court because weak words get ignored. Strong, clear words do not. Legal experts agree this is your strongest protection once a stop turns serious. And if you remember nothing else from this video, remember this. Never talk yourself out of a criminal problem on the side of the road. You usually talk yourself deeper into it. Now let's tie the law together in plain English. Rodriguez v. United States says a traffic stop cannot be stretched longer than needed, unless police have more legal grounds. That is why your am I being detained or am I free to leave? Line matters. Schneckloth v. Bustamante says police can rely on your consent even if they never told you that you could refuse. That is why I do not consent to any searches is so powerful. Pennsylvania v. Mims says an officer can order a driver out during a lawful stop. That is why smart drivers comply with the exit order, but do not confuse compliance with consent. Hebel says some states can require your name during a lawful stop. That is why you give required ID, but do not turn it into an interview. And Miranda matters if the stop grows into custody and interrogation. In simple English, the law gives you real protections, but only if you use the right words. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings, and it is the difference between helping yourself and helping the case against you. Now, picture a real stop. Lights hit your mirror. Your chest tightens. The officer walks up and says, "Where are you headed tonight?" The wrong way starts instantly. Like you laugh nervously. You say, "Nowhere crazy, just left a buddy's house, had one beer, I'm exhausted. Sorry if I was speeding." Then they ask if there is anything illegal in the car. You say no. They ask to take a quick look. You say sure because you think saying no sounds guilty. Then they tell you to step out. Now your car's open, your words are on record, and the stop just turned into a hunt. Now watch the right way. The officer walks up. You keep your hands visible. You say, "Officer, here are my documents. I'm choosing to remain silent and I do not want to answer questions." If they ask to search, you say, "Officer, I do not consent to any searches." If the stop drags after the ticket work should be done, you ask, "Am I being detained or am I free to leave?" If you want the record, you calmly say, "I am recording for my safety and yours. I will not interfere." If they order you out, you do not argue. You say, "I will comply. I do not consent to any searches. And I'm choosing to remain silent." If the whole thing turns criminal, you end it with, "I want a lawyer." See the difference? Same road, same officer, same car, but totally different outcome. The wrong version gives them facts, consent, confusion, and extra time. The right version gives them documents, calm, clear boundaries, and almost nothing else. That is how you protect yourself. Next video, I'm revealing what to say when cops claim they smell weed. Subscribe right now so you do not miss it, because that line gets people searched every single day. So let's lock this in. Give the required documents, not your whole story. Refuse consent to any search with one clear sentence. Ask if you're being detained or free to leave when the traffic work should be over. Record calmly if you can do it without interfering. If ordered out, comply without consenting to anything else. And if it turns into a criminal case, ask for a lawyer and shut up. You do not need to be rude. You do not need to be a law professor. You just need a few clean lines and the nerve to use them. Your rights are strongest in the first moments, not after the damage is done. Hit subscribe so you catch that weed smell video next. Smash, like if this script gave you words you did not have. And drop a comment telling me which line you're going to memorize first. Stay safe out there.